Hello, my name is Grant Fredericks. As a former police officer and coordinator of the Vancouver Police Forensic Video Unit, I've witnessed an explosion in the number of video security cameras in our society. This exponential growth in the proliferation of video surveillance is credited to the unparalleled investment by both the private and public sector in their effort to reduce crime, protect property, and increase the perception of safety in our communities. Cameras are recording and collecting evidence for police at an unprecedented rate. After a crime, investigators simply have to locate the cameras and gather the evidence. It's estimated over each of the next few years, more than $2 billion will be spent on closed-circuit television cameras in the U.S. alone. This incredible investment in visual security systems has created new opportunities for investigators and has encouraged some law enforcement agencies to rewrite the book on evidence collection and examination. It's estimated the average person is captured on video 8 to 12 times each day, and so is the average crook. Evidence technicians are familiar with the concept that a bad guy always leaves something of himself behind at a crime scene. With the increase in CCTV technology, this premise is true now more than ever before. Today, major crime investigators are able to track suspect movements by collecting videotaped evidence not only at the crime scene, but across the street, down the block, and even miles away from where the crime occurred. Before we look more closely at how North American police agencies are taking advantage of this new phenomenon, one needs to look to the United Kingdom to appreciate fully how CCTV has given police an overwhelming advantage over the criminal. In Great Britain, public video surveillance systems, cameras installed in public places, are seen everywhere. In fact, more than 800 cities in the UK have their own network of CCTV cameras. The British Home Office alone spends more than $500 million a year supporting the continued growth of video evidence collection systems. In communities like this one in the north of Britain, groups of young people fought openly in the streets. While the police monitor, this camera records a fatal kick to the head. With the video evidence in hand, investigators quickly identify the suspect. A guilty plea follows. In another area, a civilian CCTV monitor watches and records as a number of young men randomly attack people on the street. Here, business owners, citizens, and government pooled resources to install CCTV cameras in high-crime areas. The level of violence captured to tape surprised even the police. When the tapes were turned over to investigators, the suspects were quickly identified, and the word got out on the street that if you commit a crime in this part of town, it will likely be caught on tape, and you'll find yourself in jail. The result was the cleansing of crime from that part of the city. Store owners say their investment in CCTV paid for itself in 6 months, as old customers, previously frightened away by the violence, returned with a new sense of personal security under the watchful lens of the cameras. In British cities, where police monitor the cameras, reaction to crimes in progress is dramatically faster. Here, a police officer observes a group of people outside a bar. He focuses his attention and the camera on a known criminal standing at the center of the group. Unknown to the police officer is that the suspect has a 1-pound metal bar stitched into the front of his right glove. The victim is knocked to the ground. At this moment, the police officer broadcasts the assault in progress, the suspect's description, and the location of the offense. Unaware his activity is being recorded, the assailant drags the victim under a light so he can continue the beating. After a few moments, the victim is dragged into an alcove and out of sight of the police. But the camera has already recorded the attack. The victim is seriously injured, and police and an ambulance are on their way. An accomplice warns the suspect that the police are coming. The suspect walks away in an effort to disappear into the crowd, but the camera follows him. The responding officer is directed to the suspect. He is in custody just 1 minute and 9 seconds after the initial blow. In this case, the camera is credited with saving the victim's life. Had the police not arrived so quickly, stopping the assault, paramedics believe the victim could have been killed. In North America today, approximately 50 cities have incorporated a CCTV system into their crime detection and crime reduction strategies. It's believed that by the end of this decade, most medium to large U.S. and Canadian cities will use cameras in their fight against crime. When examining videotape for criminal investigations, it's important that the police analyst understands the science behind the production of the video signal. Video is simply a series of images we call frames. In 1953, the National Television Standards Committee established a method for transmitting a video signal and then displaying that signal onto a TV. The NTSC standard, which is now a half a century old, is still the standard used today for most broadcast and security video production. The NTSC signal produces 30 individual frames of video every second. In order to display these images on a television, the frame is scanned onto the screen, but not all at once. In North America and in a few other areas around the world, the electrical system is based on 60 cycles per second. The NTSC standard takes advantage of this cycling by separating the transmission of the video frame into two separate pieces, an odd field and an even field. In the first 1/60th of a second, the odd field is scanned onto the TV monitor. In the next 1/60th of a second, the even field is scanned onto the monitor, creating the entire frame in 1/30th of a second. The NTSC standard presents other challenges for the police investigator attempting to produce still pictures from videotape. Motion blur is a term used to describe a printed image that is less clear than it appeared on the TV monitor prior to printing. Sometimes motion blur manifests itself as a double exposed image, like this picture of a robbery suspect, captured at the moment he was shot by the victim he was attempting to rob. This video was recorded at 24-hour record mode. When played back at the office on a regular VCR, the images move too quickly for the investigator to get a clear impression of the incident. Since no two time-lapse machines will play back the video at exactly the same speed, even a time-lapse VCR can't be trusted to accurately replay the incident. However, with the right analysis tools, the investigator can reproduce the video playback speed exactly as it was recorded, no matter what the record speed. Now the investigator has his own window into the robbery and watches as the clerk looks up to see a gunman enter the store. The clerk quickly removes a weapon from a false ceiling. As the suspect levels his gun at the clerk defends himself. The suspect is shot and runs from the store. Note the seconds on the timestamp show the accuracy of the real-time playback speed. The original picture printed by the investigator was actually two images. Although the detective was looking at one picture on the TV monitor when he printed the image, he actually captured both the odd and even field of that frame. Now that we've accurately slowed the video to real time, we can easily separate the odd field and the even field. Since these images were recorded in a 24-hour record mode and not in real time, the actual time difference between the two pictures can be calculated. Rather than being 1/60th of a second apart, the gap between the two fields is actually 12 times longer, or 1/5 of a second, giving us 5 images for every second of video. Many video security manufacturers use the NTSC standard in a slightly different way and obtain a dramatically different result. Most video security systems incorporate multiplex machines to encode images from several surveillance cameras onto a single videotape. This is done effectively by recording and encoding camera images at the field level and not at the frame level. The result is that twice as many unique pictures can be stored to videotape. However, without the proper analysis equipment, half of the video images are often hidden from the police investigator. To fully appreciate this problem, we need to examine a typical multiplex video signal. This multiplex system is recording 16 cameras at a 24-hour record mode. Played back on a regular VCR, the images flash by too quickly for the human eye to make much sense of the information. Played back on a time-lapse machine, individual camera angles are now discernible. But observe, we are now only looking at 8 cameras. The remaining 8 cameras are hidden from view. What we are witnessing is field-level recording. A full 50% of the pictures are now lost to the investigator. Stepping through the images frame by frame, fails to reveal the lost camera angles. However, by turning each field of video into a frame, the investigator can now move through each of the cameras, revealing suspect pictures previously hidden from view. The use of multiplexers to play back the encoded images has significant limitations. First, no single multiplex machine is capable of decoding all the multiplex systems on the market. In fact, few machines can decode more than 50% of multiplexed images. Secondly, all multiplex machines compress the video image on playback. This process removes valuable resolution information from each picture. Multiplex machines also crop the image, literally cutting out about 12 to 18% off the top, bottom, and sides of each picture. The resulting output is an incomplete and less reliable exhibit that might not pass the admissibility test for court. Proper forensic video analysis tools allow the investigator to decode any multiplex video signal, no matter how many cameras are on the system. With the right equipment, the investigator can isolate just the camera that shows the suspect. There is no cropping and no resolution loss. A universal multiplex decoder eliminates the need for the police agency to purchase numerous multiplex decoding machines. Multiplex machines are not the only devices that crop information from the video image. Regular television monitors also remove information from the top, bottom, and sides of the CCTV surveillance video, often hiding important clues from the investigator. The digitized pixel matrix of the NTSC video signal is actually 720 by 486, almost 14% larger than regular television monitors. Another common problem for the forensic video analyst is attempting to pull detail from dark and blurry surveillance video images. Since a large percentage of crimes caught on video are recorded at night, a solution is needed to help the analyst see into the dark areas of the picture. Frame averaging is a powerful process that collects and stores luminance information, light, over a large number of video frames. The alphanumeric characters on this license plate are impossible to read. Frame averaging helps to pull out the hidden detail, illuminating important information. Videotape is a delicate medium. When a tape is recorded or played on any VCR, it comes in physical contact with rollers, drums, and video record or playback heads. Each time the video moves through the tape transport mechanism of the VCR, tiny pieces of the videotape are stripped away and the image degrades. Manufacturers of VHS videotape recommend the average tape be played no more than 30 times. By then, noticeable degradation of the image often renders the video unplayable. Worse yet, some frames are completely lost. Many companies also warn that using the pause button almost always leads to serious tape damage. The same manufacturers stress their tapes have a maximum record life of 12 passes, which means that enough degradation of the physical tape has occurred after 12 recordings to render the tape unreliable as a record medium. With this knowledge, it's important to me, as a forensic video analyst, to reduce the wear on the exhibit in order to protect it from possible damage. This is accomplished by transferring the original analog videotaped images into the digital world for examination. Most CCTV images are recorded in time-lapse and without sound. For these tapes, I almost always use a real-time playback VCR with a built-in time-based corrector or frame synchronizer. I'll digitize the images at 60 fields per second using lossless compression, meaning there is no loss of information when converting the analog videotape into data files. This process ensures the original video is played only once, the pause button is never used, and the tape is immediately returned to the investigator to be secured for court. After the images have been digitized, I can spend as much time as I need examining individual pictures without altering or changing the original video. I can zoom into an area of the image, separate the fields, turn time-lapse into real-time, stabilize the moving video, reveal previously unseen details, or apply a host of other filters, allowing me to unlock additional hidden evidence. Once my examination is complete, I can output a comprehensive analysis report and an accurate analog video copy of my work for disclosure purposes. The Supreme Courts in both the United States and Canada have recognized the value of video as an accepted and powerful evidentiary tool. In fact, where identification is an issue, the courts often prefer videotaped evidence over eyewitness testimony. One of the high courts actually detailed its preference for video over the human eyewitness in a lengthy judgment that contrasted the frailties of human identification with the strengths of videotaped evidence. In discussing the frailties of human identification, the court's concern focused on several questions, including whether the witness was physically in a position to see the accused, and if so, did that witness have sound vision, good hearing, intelligence, and the ability to communicate what was seen and heard? Did the witness have the ability to understand and recount what had been perceived? Did the witness have a sound memory? What was the effect of fear or excitement on the ability of the witness to perceive clearly and to later recount the events accurately? Did the witness have a bias, or at least a biased perception, of the event or the parties involved? The Supreme Court then juxtaposed the frailties of human identification with the strengths of videotaped evidence, finding that videotape is never subject to stress. Through tumultuous events, it continues to record accurately and dispassionately all that comes before it. Although silent, it remains a constant and unbiased witness, with instant and total recall of all that it observes. The trier of fact may review the evidence of the silent witness as often as desired. The tape may be stopped and studied at any critical juncture. The courts recognize that the camera never blinks, even when the camera itself is the victim of an offense. Here, a suspect smashes at a camera with a stick and then pulls and tugs at it in an attempt to rip it from the wall. This criminal fails to appreciate that the little cable coming from the back of the camera disappearing into the wall might just be sending information to a record machine. Case law in venues throughout North America supports the use of video evidence at trial. However, few law enforcement agencies appreciate fully the true value of a properly analyzed crime video. Jurisdictions that incorporate a comparison strategy when examining video evidence enjoy a high percentage of guilty pleas, saving both the agency and the court system a significant amount of time and money. A comparison strategy in video examination is similar to the process used in fingerprint analysis. The examiner is looking for points of comparison between the suspect image and a known image. In this case, a surveillance video records as a suspect commits a burglary to a restaurant. A few months after the incident, a possible suspect was identified and, of course, denied any involvement in the crime, claiming instead that he was in jail in another city at the time of the offense. I was asked to try to clarify the suspect's face and compare it to that of the accused. Facial comparison is a difficult practice and can open the door to lengthy defense arguments. In this case, I preferred to collect additional exhibits in an attempt to assist the court in its fact-finding mission. Fortunately, the location where the suspect claimed to have been in custody has surveillance cameras and records the booking process. At trial, I presented the judge with a comparative analysis between the suspect's clothing and the known clothing worn by the accused. As an example, let's examine just a few of the slides used in the actual trial. Since I had already digitized the original video, I could spend as much time as needed to view each frame. Here, I described in detail specific creasing patterns on the suspect's jacket. I also identified that the jacket had a V-neck, wide lapels that rest at a specific angle, and noted a light area on the upper left part of the arm. On the known jacket, I commented on the specific creasing patterns, the V-neck, the wide lapel, and the light area on the upper left part of the arm. As the suspect turns the corner in the crime video, the back of his jacket displays a specific stitching pattern. Again, looking at the back of the known jacket, a similar stitching pattern is identified. As the suspect moves around the corner, we see the left side of the jacket. A light stripe coming from underneath is visible at the bottom. Looking at the accused on the jail video, we can see two light stripes sticking out of the bottom of the left side of his jacket. Looking at the hats worn by both the accused and the suspect, we can see more distinctive similarities. As the suspect runs away from the camera, we can see a small light dot on the back of his cap. On the jail video, our accused bends down to untie his shoelaces and reveals a small light dot on the back of his cap. Examining the cap a little bit further, we can see that when the suspect runs under a pool of light, two unique creasing patterns on the left side of his cap become visible. The creases appear to be approximately 3 inches long and are about 2 inches apart. When our accused stands under a pool of light at the booking counter, an adjustment of the luminance levels of the video helps to reveal two unique creasing patterns on the left side of his cap that are approximately 3 inches long and are about 2 inches apart. Those were just a few of the slides shown during the trial. Note that the comparative analysis strategy does not require the expert to offer an opinion as to whether the images were of the same person. Many judges prefer to make that determination themselves, supported by the preponderance of evidence they simply can't ignore. With the right tools, taking advantage of video evidence while protecting the original exhibit is easy. The proliferation of CCTV cameras in our society has created new opportunities as the number of video exhibits seized by police continues to grow. A single edit system with simple drag and drop filters can make a significant contribution to your agency's criminal investigation sections.